Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. We got a lot of Tekken news for you today. Not the least of which, here, enjoy the all-new Eddy Gordo trailer. I got this to show you and more Eddy stuff to talk about later in the video. But also, well, there's just a lot of things coming. Tekken 8, Eddy Gordo, and the new patch are all coming out very soon. And that is April the 1st or April the 2nd, depending on your time zone. And obviously Eddy, hey, all new character, very big deal. And don't worry, he'll get full coverage on the channel. But also the patch, adding, well, what they're calling like fixes, but some are straight up balance changes, as we'll talk about, because Azucena is getting the hammer to her knees. More stuff addressing rage quitters. We got a whole bunch of new items and gigas going up in the shop. We're getting proper battle passes now. And I know some of you may have feelings on battle passes one way or another, but hey, it's how video games work now. You do it or you get left behind. News on the proper real balance patch, because this next one coming up, the one coming up is quote unquote fixes. The real big bad one is coming up a little bit later on. And well, geez Louise, we just got a lot of things Tekken to talk about. So hopefully if I did this right, there'll be timestamps for the various sections depending on what we're talking about. But let's talk about the first thing out of the gate. They are very proud to announce that Tekken 8 has sold over 2 million copies worldwide, and hey, that ain't nothing. The game hasn't even really been out that long overall, so that's quite a bit. But hey, with so many copies sold comes a lot of rage quitters, a lot of pluggers is the term people like to use these days, right? And to be frank, this is so much worse of an issue than it is in Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. Because, you know, there's almost no consequence for plugging, right? Street Fighter, if you disconnect, you lose, and you get named and shamed, right? Your user ID gets shown and everything like that. In Mortal Kombat, you get, quitality'd, and the Twitter clip is already built right into it, so you can just laugh at people online. Tekken, low consequence, so, well, people keep doing it. So, the thing is now, as of yesterday, there's been another wave of bans related towards people who disconnect too much mid-match, aka plug or rage quit. And these measures will continue to be handed out throughout basically the life of the game, as they're putting it. And some of the parameters here you can see on the thing. Intentional disconnections, cheating/glitching, rank boosting, and inappropriate in-game and chat behavior customizations or usernames. If you harass people in the lobby, you will not be spared. With the upcoming patch as well, they mentioned the disconnect rate filter. So normally if you see someone, you can see like their disconnect percentage. That has not been displaying correctly. So internally, it's always been correct. But when you see people and, are we going to match up or not? That did not display correctly. As of the patch, that will start displaying correctly. So if you see someone has a very high disconnect rate, then you can, not engage in the match. Also being added in the patch is sort of a rage quit hell matchmaking mode. So rage quitters will start being put up against specifically other rage quitters. So if you disconnect too much, you'll fight other people who only disconnect so much. And you basically got to do through the honor system to earn your way back into regular matchmaking. And they kind of headed off at the course, what if my computer, crashes? What if Xbox Live disconnects me? What if these things? They say, hey, it's only really an issue if it happens all the time. And if it happens all the time, that's more on you. You kind of should get that fixed. So a laser eye focus on people who disconnect too much, the added filters of matchmaking hell, and also being able to see disconnect ratings, all that, that's all being added in the patch. But since things are changing up, they're basically giving everyone a clean slate. So come patch, everyone's reset back to 0. And then once you start messing up after the patch is done, after the patch is out, that's when they're really going to come after you. So basically the message is straighten up and fly right, because it's for real this time. Now, as for the big patch, coming out April the 1st or April the 2nd, depending on your time zone, but it is coming here. We have the big patch, and we do have patch notes. I actually got the full patch notes in the video description, so if you want to check it out, because there's a lot. It's almost all bug fixes, but there is a lot. You can check the video description. The full notes will be there for you. And while it is indeed mostly bug fixes, there is some balance changes. Once again, they frame it as these are tweaks. Certain moves didn't work in intended ways, but the big one is definitely Azucena. So if you've spent any amount of time looking online about Tekken 8 at all, right, you've seen the complaints about Azucena, and specifically running 3-2, because it's annoying. It's really strong. Like, what else is there to say? So running 3-2 for Azucena is getting curtailed just a little bit. So one, and this is the important one, If the move is whiffing, like if the knee whiffs, the elbow will no longer come out at all. So that's the big change. So before, if you like sidestep then ducked, you might avoid it. You might. Keyword might, right? So now if you avoid the knee, you avoided the whole move, end of story, which will make it a lot more bearable to deal with. Now that said, also adding that, the move now has 3 less active frames. So hopefully the way I'm thinking it works is if you're actively like sidewalking in anticipation of it while Azucena is going for it, as long as it doesn't connect on the first frame, you should have a better chance to get by it. So like hopefully characters like the bears actually have a chance to sidestep the friggin' move. Now it still does chip damage. It's still stupid plus on block, right? It still jails mid to high. So all these things are still there. It's still going to be a good move, but it's not going to be one of the most overwhelmingly brain dead moves in the game any longer. Once again, if you avoid the knee, the elbow will not come out. And also the move has less overall active frame. So still will be a strong move, but clear and significant nerf. And of course, there is other balance changes as well. But since I'm going to have to make a whole balance patch video in a couple days anyways, I don't want to go through every single thing right now because I have to do it again in a few days. So, if you want to check the notes in the video description. And otherwise, the whole breakdown that you would expect, check in a couple days when the patch launches. Now, again, to stress, the patch that's coming out on April the 1st, April the 2nd, depending on your time zone, is not the big balance patch. That is coming, and that's coming after Evo Japan specifically. That will be sometime in May. But one of the things I want to bring up is they can see all the stats, they make the game, they can see all the stats. And they have some very interesting stats. Things like overall character usage. You can see here the top row blue, bottom row red. The top row is overall character use in just any online mode, it doesn't matter. And the red is specifically ranked only character online usage and only for ranks Tekken God and above, so the very high ranks. And always on this channel, we're a really big fan of stats, and the stats tell a very fun tale. Like here on all online modes, so this can be ranked, it does include ranked as well, casual, playing in the lobbies, whatever it may be. Reina, hard number 1st, King number 2nd, Jin number 3rd, Dragon of number 4, Hwoarang number 5, right? And then we look here, in the sweaty ranked district on the red side, Dragonov hard number 1, Azucena number 2, Victor number 3, Reina still there, number 4, and like Feng number 5, and so on and so forth, right? And this tells a very fun tale because if we look at just kind of overall character use, it certainly tells a tale of character popularity versus character tiers, right? So say character popularity, if we look at the more overall usages, if we look for, say, Feng is in the little tier, right? Because, he's a cool character, but he's not used as much as the actual popular characters. However, when we get to the big boy ranks in ranked, Feng goes from not so popular in casual play to, hey, 5th place, because Feng's pretty good, y'all. Like, hey, if you're looking for a strong character, you don't know who to pick Feng. You'll do pretty all right. And it's just always fun to see stats like this. So King, even though King can't talk, he's a big Jaguar man, he remains ever popular. He's an evergreen character, right? But in ranked, at the higher ranks, King definitely falls off a bit, despite how much he may be complained about in the lower ranks. One of the things that Harada and the other developers on site were talking about, though, was how important it was to take in all the data at once, not just hyper-fixate on any one specific part. They brought up Akuma. Akuma in Tekken 7, infamously complained about for years and years and years. And then they say when they look online and see the win rates, Akuma's win rates are below 50%. Like, not even in the higher end of things, like decidedly below average. And of course, there's always weird tales to tell about that anyways, like Street Fighter V famously, E Honda was the most winningest character for years. He had the best win percentage in Street Fighter V overall online. Cut and dry. And was Honda the best character? You better believe he wasn't. But then again, even that's a stat to hyperfixate on, right? So they're saying they don't look at any one thing, they look at everything as a whole. But yes, so the patch, the big balance patch will be in May after Evo Japan, and they'll be focusing specifically on buffing characters who are weaker and nerfing moves that overperform just a little too well. The patch will also be adding quite a few quality of life features. One that's like in Street Fighter 6, if in whatever matching you may be, if the online on both sides, your connection is just too poor, there will be just an option for both of you to peace out of the match, just end the match on the spot. So you can terminate the match and the stats don't count for nothing. You can both just go about your day. Things like if you're in player match, you can see when the stage has been randomly selected versus just manually selected. And also for Steam specifically, we talked about this last time, but just an easier way to exit out of the game. And also, I'll mention it here, not so much the balance section, just because I know a lot of people care about throw text too much in this game. So they're looking at, in the future, expanding the window for counter hit throws. Right now, if you get counter hit thrown, your break window is much smaller. So they're not going to necessarily remove that, but they might make it a little bit more lenient in the future. That will be the May patch though. That won't be this patch, just FYI. So now, as mentioned at the start of the video, let's talk some of the extra goodies coming to Tekken 8. And one of those is the Fight Pass. Yes, Battle Passes, they're here now in Tekken. Of course it was going to be a thing. That's just how it works. As you can see here, there's a bunch of new goodies to get. Looks like new customization options for clothing and for hair, as well as perhaps avatar stuff. Zebra hats. Hey, we all love zebra hats here, right? So if you are willing to engage in that kind of stuff, it'll be there for you. Also, in the traditional way of the Battle Pass, there's two tiers. The free tier, you just get stuff. Don't worry, you don't got to spend a dime. And the premium tier, where if you spend a little money, you'll get some extra nice goodies. And also, you can earn Tekken coins from the Battle Pass itself, which you can then spend in the Tekken shop. The Tekken shop itself will also be getting more goodies. Not too long ago, there was like new outfits for Nina and King, I believe. And now we'll get Cyber Pack costumes, a new classic costume for Yoshimitsu, and also avatar stuff for Eddy Gordo. So if you're looking for the premium experience, looking to spend a little bit more money for some cosmetics, hey, the game's got your back. I'm well aware that's not for everybody, but it doesn't really affect gameplay in any way, shape, or form. For the people that like the experience already, want to put a couple more bucks in to get some more fun out of it in terms of cosmetics, more power to you. And now let's just talk a little bit of Eddy Gordo. So they didn't go through like the entire move list or anything, but I would just like to highlight some things I found pretty interesting of what they showed about Eddy. And of course, Eddy's out pretty soon, right? So expect all sorts of Eddy videos in the near future. So one of the things they didn't want to stress out of the gate is, while this is certainly Eddy Gordo, this is not Tekken 7 Eddy Gordo. He's a bit more streamlined, so his backdash isn't as crazy compared to the rest of the casts anymore, but then again, his sidestepping game is also a little bit better, and he kind of works more like a normal character. Like a lot of oddball situations that were sort of Eddy only for good and for bad are now more streamlined to work like everybody else. Like say if you bop him during Negativa stance, his sitting stance, he won't just go flying anymore. He'll act like a grounded standing character. So it'll be much more normalized, right? Also, he's allowed to block from the stance as well. So just like how they changed for Kuma, hunting bear stance, you're allowed to block from it versus before you had to like cancel out of the stance, then block. Now you can just block from the stance. So just good quality of life stuff. So one thing I found pretty strong was them showing off forward 3. So this is a low profiling low, fast enough, 21 frames, plus 6 on hit, and it puts you directly in the Negativa stance, and from there you can do all sorts of gimmicks. Not the least of which is threaten stuff like hell sweeps, right? So that's always pretty strong, and also it builds his stock, because he does have a unique stock mechanic, where you build more, the better you are, the better your moves are going to get. Also, if 443 hits as a counter hit, it invokes a slip stun state, from which he can get a crouching throw. He's got that now, so it's a natural combo, just like, say, Azucena, right? And also the crouching throw is also a heat engager. So comboing the throws triggers, the rooflemonger response, and all of a sudden like, hey, wow, Eddy seems like a fun character. Maybe I want to play Eddy now. And getting a counter hit on the low that itself is also a low profile move doesn't seem like it'd be that hard, honestly. Totals up to 45 damage, which seems pretty alright to me. And of course, from Negativa, you also have, mid options, and you have like the low hell sweep. So there's already built up mix inside of it. And guess low hell sweep or guess mid heat engager? That's not a fun guessing game, I don't think. Remains to be seen the whole breadth of his options, but it's going to have some stuff. They did make a point of it though for stuff like the hell sweep. It does have to be a clean hit. You can't hit from the tip of the toe and get the whole thing. So just like say Paul's Demo Man, you do have to be pretty up close about it. You got to mean it. So you're not going to exactly snipe people out from the absolute edge of the move. Also, a few fun things about the handstand stance. They showed you can transfer into it from, say, like a running 3. So that'll be interesting. And naturally enough, even on block, it's a run move, right? So if you get block, transition to the stance, you're still pretty plus. It's still decidedly your turn. And naturally, Eddy's Eddy, right? So move into stance, into another move, into another stance. Very much still a thing. We like throwing around the term knowledge checks around here in Tekken Land, And you're going to have to learn this matchup because he's going to knowledge check you pretty hard. And they did want to showcase while you're doing the gimmicks, confusing people like attacks out of the handstand, all that. Handstand also has a power crush now. It's a mid-hitting power crush. So when people are starting to press against you, you can smack them down for it. Also, can't forget that stock system, right? So if you build up 2 of the win stocks in a round, you unlock some really powerful moves, like this super Omega Hell Sweep from the handstand stance. The knockdown looks really good on this too. Like you can pressure pretty much right after the fact, looks like, right? So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, you can't take the stocks with you. It's per round, but if you build it up, it doesn't get used up. It's just there till the round ends. So it's going to lead to some fancy stuff. They also went out of the way to show that knockdown's only if you're level 2, not level 1. Level 1, it'll be a natural combo, but it will not knock down. And, you know, they didn't fully go over Eddy, and it wasn't really expected. We just got just a little bit of a look. And Eddy's out really soon, so you'll be able to get a taste of him for yourself. When the time comes, don't worry, I'll do on the channel what you expect. A full Eddy starter guide. It's probably going to be like an hour-long monstrosity or something. I got your back, don't worry. I'll help you play Eddy. But that's just some of the things I found pretty interesting. Also, this big dumb thing from handstand, big dumb mid kick, also plus on block. And that's about it. Once again, patch notes, full patch notes. Check the video description. It's in there. You can peruse them for yourself. We'll do the big patch video when the patch actually goes live so I can show you some of the changes. One thing they stressed about Evo Japan specifically, yes, the big proper balance patch won't be until Evo Japan happens, rather after it happens. But they stated on Evo Japan that, hey, maybe tune in to Evo Japan. So Evo Japan is towards the end of April, right? So that's next month. But, you know, by then Eddy will be legal for sure. He'll be playable on site. Hopefully not like a repeat of the Leroy incident where if Eddy's OP or anything like that. But, you know, whatever the tournament may happen, maybe we'll get a special certain trailer and maybe that'll be whatever the next DLC character may be. I know you're like me. You're a big sucker for those reveals. So Evo Japan, I think we'll be tuning in. And besides all that, well, just stay tuned to the channel. The patch coming up, Eddy Gordo's launch, everything like that. I'll do my best to keep you covered for that and more Tekken stuff going into the future. And until then, well, that's the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Tekken.